This is our single suitcase Italian series. We've got Hunter Valley Fiano, Adelaide Hills Nero D'Avola, we've got McLaren Vale Montepulciano and Hilltops Nebbiolo. This is actually our fourth release of our Italian wines, and we thought pretty good opportunity to open some bottles and see what they taste like and
see how they're looking.
Tell you a bit of history about these wines and these varieties.
So. Yeah, as you know, we've made a couple of Italian varieties in the past and they've just flown out the door because people love these new varieties, this new wave style of winemaking. And for the first time ever, we're releasing a Italian white wine, which is really exciting. This is something that Frank and Wendy have been asking us about for a little while now. So this is what we would like to introduce you as our brand new single suitcase Fiano.
Now grown in the Hunter Valley, importantly. So with all of our single suitcase range wines, the varieties, they originated in Italy, but they're all grown here in Australia.
Yep.
And this wine is the first Hunter Valley Italian variety that we've had a crack at here at Sadler's Creek, and let's see what it looks like, Sambo.
Yeah, I mean, straight off the bat, colours cracking. You expect that nice light green and gold sort of character. Classic Aussie colours on the Fiano. The nose, beautiful. You get that melon, that pear. It's fresh, it's bright. You can already tell that it's going to make your mouth water.
So the fruit for this wine came from a little vineyard out in Broke, so in the Hunter Valley, about 25 minutes or so from the winery here in Pacolban. Now, we treated this wine in a mixture of ways, and the reason for this was we've never made Fiano before, and we wanted to have a bit of a play and see what we could do with this fruit. Now, importantly, the vineyard that these grapes came off, it's quite a late ripening varietal and a late ripening vineyard, so it was by far the latest Hunter Valley white fruit to come into the winery. What we did is we pressed it quite delicately, put the free run juice into tank for tank fermentation and maturation, and we took the pressings and put them into some old French oak barrels for fermentation and maturation in that method. Now, what we've ended up with, as Sambo said, a really bright, real sort of green apple, fresh style of wine.
It's got that real seductive fresh fruit character. It's that tank ferment, as we see with Hunter Valley Semillon, Hunter Valley Verdelho, gives you this beautiful green tropical fruit character, and it's carried through into here. But Fiano is well known for being a barrel-worthy wine as well, much like Chardonnay. And with that, we are able to develop weight and complexity in the wine. You can taste it on the palate. You have that fresh fruit character, but there's some density to it, there's viscosity. It makes your mouth water. It
has this sort of waxiness to it that's typical for this varietal. Now, the good thing about Fiano, it's perfect for pretty much everyone because it's light and bright, but it also has some texture and weight, and it is something that you can age for a period of time as well.
Absolutely, and it does fit all those brackets of white wine. If you want to have a real people pleaser wine, you want to pour Semillon, Verdelho, Chardonnay, any of the above, even Riesling, this Fiano would fit the mark because it has just something for everyone, which is a really cool way to make a very interesting variety of wine. Like Brett said, this is our first time at having a go at it, and we're really stoked with how it's turned out.
It looks really good, very tasty, very happy. So from there, we've got another new kid on the block in our single suitcase range, which is a red varietal that Franco has been bugging us for a while. You might see a bit of a theme in some of our wines, in particular one of our Chardonnays, where in a nutshell, if Frank and Wendy ask enough and then we're lucky enough to find some decent grapes, then it's a good way to give these things a crack. So what we have here is the Nero D'Avola, or what most people in Australia would nickname Nero, because we're very good at shortening things.
Far out. This is an incredible wine. I'm so stoked about this. I have wanted to play around with Nero for a while. It finds its home in Sicily on the slopes of Mount Etna. It is a very much traditional, old school Italian variety, and it was traditionally blended away into a mix of different varieties in Italy. But here in Australia, we have been able to grow it in such a way that it looks beautiful as a standalone variety. It needs nothing else in it to shine. It's just bright and fresh. It has this incredible, almost like black currant and plum, but like freshly picked black currants going on there. It's so bright, it makes you want to drink it straight away.
It's hard to tell probably on the camera, but the colour of this wine is just so vibrant ruby.
Oh my goodness.
It's really quite elegant. Now,
I likened it to And I think this wine tastes incredible. The nose is beautiful. I could sit here smelling it for hours, but the taste blows me away. I've said it before with wines like the Aglianico, it's a sucker punch of a wine where it smells so bright and vibrant and fresh. You expect it to be a monster of a wine on the palate. And then you take it and it's delicate and it's fresh and it just lifts everything up. It's almost like, it's reminiscent of fresh like raspberry sorbet on a hot summer's day, you know. It makes you want to go and sit by the pool, it makes you want to have a barbecue. It's just an incredible wine. I am so stoked with how that's turned out. I'm sure you are too. And it was in Aretha as well.
So we pretty much with this wine, and like most of our Italians, it's important to keep the fruit first in these styles of wines. So the oak influence is a secondary character in the wine. So we're trying to keep the wines fresh and fruit driven and elegant and easy to drink. And that's exactly what this wine is all about.
Nail on the head.
Yeah, it's really good, really good.
Now, unfortunately, we're out of glass, so I had to drink all of that. So, what's next?
All right, so the next cab off the rank is a variety that you've actually seen before. So this is the first time we've repeated a variety in the single suitcase range, and this is the Montepulciano. Now, the fruit for this is from McLaren Vale down in South Australia. So we didn't actually mention, but the Nero was grown in the Adelaide Hills in South Australia. So we've got Hunter Valley and then 2 SA wines.
Now, people who've been around for a while, you will know that we made a Nero, we released it 4 years ago, 3 years ago, Montepulciano, 4 years ago now. And ever since it ran out, people have been kicking and screaming, asking for us to bring it back. And after getting the fruit early last year, we are finally ready to showcase this wine, and it is a beauty.
Now, the difference between this Montepulciano and the original wine that we did a number of years ago is really focusing on that fruit forwardness. So the first wine that we did a number of years ago saw more oak maturation, so for a longer period of time. But we've deliberately dialed that back on this new release of the Monty, just like the other single suitcase wines, because we want that vibrant, fresh, food-friendly fruit character to come out in the wine. And I think we've nailed that. Yeah,
one of these things that we are trying to see in all these wines off the board. Italian wines have so much character without the necessity of intervention. And so we want to have as little impact on these wines as possible so that we can make the fruit shine, and it really, really does. It looks stunning.
Pretty good.
I'm so stoked we finally got them to re-release that. That looks awesome.
It's good, hey? And then the fourth wine in our release this year is actually a re-release, and this is our Nebbiolo. Now, Nebbiolo is a grape variety that really does benefit from aging. So we released this wine as a new wine last year. When it was a little bit younger and a little bit more vibrant. But for this year, we've got a little bit more time sitting in the bottle. So you will notice that there's a colour difference on this wine in comparison to the others. It's certainly not as deep and as dark, but that is quite typical of the Nebbiolo variety.
Nebbiolo is a really quite high tannin variety, and because of that, it really does reward aging. Now, if you haven't had Nebbiolo before, the thing I could liken it to the easiest would be Pinot Noir. It has that earthy, cherry-driven character, which just is what it is famous for. The best examples in the world come out of Barolo. And so we actually tried to copy this when we made this, in that we aged it in one of our big 2,800 litre casks in that Grand Reserve style. We took it out a little bit earlier than they would in Barolo, but we're still stoked with how the fruit has evolved in the bottle, and it needs that time. Typically, Barolos don't tend to be drunk until about 15 years old. In Australia, we can drink them at around that 5-year mark.
Now, it's much more savoury than the other two wines, but frame-wise, it sort of sits in the middle. So if you're doing tasting of these wines together, I'd actually suggest the Fiano, then the Nero, and then come to the Nebbiolo and leave the Monty to the end. But we deliberately wanted to focus on the new wines first, and then the Nebbiolo here. The Monty is definitely the powerhouse, I guess, out of these three wines. This wine, weight-wise, it fits in the middle. It's nice and savoury and spicy. Definitely something that's going to suit a meal, or put in a decanter for a little bit and then come to it later in the evening would work quite well with this.
And it's a perfect wine for anything barbecued. That tannin structure, this cherry, this tar and roses flavour, it all just goes beautifully with charred meat, lamb chops, sausages. It's a cracking mix. And all of these wines, as with most of the Italian wines that we've produced, are beautiful food wines. As incredible as they are on their own, eating them with something that pairs with it just elevates everything about the meal. So you look at something like the Fiano, and it goes incredibly with things that Chardonnay would go with, so creamier passes, that sort of truffle risotto sort of thing would be beautiful with it. The Nero, that bright, fresh acid cuts through fatty meats and really meaty meats. It goes beautifully with something like ossobuco. It's a really cracking pair with that because it just opens up the whole dish, and the tannins in the Nero pair beautifully with it. Then you have the Montepulciano, and we've said it since the first wine, the only thing you need to eat with Montepulciano is pizza. It's perfect for it. Wood-fired pizza, which you'll see out the front at Friday tonight. It just goes incredibly with all those sort of meals, anything cooked on the fire.
And the last one, the Nebbiolo, what do we put in this one with Sampo?
Well, that's what I started with. The Nebbiolo is barbecue wine, sausages, lamb chops, pork roast on the barbecue, anything with crackling will go perfectly with this.
Sounds good. So if you're going to have your family over for an Italian feast, we've got 4 fantastic Italian varietals, all grown here in Australia from 4 different regions. These are all absolutely fantastic. So this year with our single suitcase Italian range release, we're bringing to you another version of our Italian cookbook. And matching with all 4 of these wines, we have some really fantastic Italian dishes. So with the Fiano, what are we matching with the
so with the Fiano, you want those that really nice creamy style of pasta. We've actually got a seafood risotto with that, and that is beautiful. You know, the Fiano acid cuts perfectly through that seafood and that cream. It goes immaculately.
Fresh mussels, good quality seafood, prawns, or get some really nice cuts of white fish for in that risotto. Will look really quite tasty.
Of course.
Now, the Nero D'Avola, what do we got going on with the Nero in the cookbook, mate?
Yeah, so the Nero, again, you want something that is quite rich and powerful, has loads of flavour, but it needs to be nice and simple. So what we've got with that is actually a beautiful eggplant parmigiana. I think roasted eggplant is cheesy, it's tomato saucy, it's just packed with flavour, but it's just a nice, simple dish.
That sounds pretty tasty. Then we've got the Montepulciano. So this is the bigger guy in the lineup, something a bit more gregarious.
Yeah, and Monte is a beautiful wine for matching with meatier, gamier styles of meat. We've paired it with something called an arrosticini, which is Italian-style lamb skewers. And now those on the barbecue, however you want to cook it, the flavour of that meat just comes through and pairs so beautifully with the wine.
All right. Now you're making me hungry, but we've got 1 wine left. So we've got the Nebbiolo.
Yep.
What are we cooking with this wine?
The Nebbiolo is a masterclass in umami flavours, and to pair with that, we had to lift that up with even more. And so we've gone with the 3 Ps, pasta, pork and porcini mushrooms. All of these come together, those nice saute roasted mushrooms, absolutely lifts that umami flavour. The fat in the pork sausages goes beautifully with the acid in the red, and the pasta just carries the whole dish. It's a beautiful mix.
They sound pretty good. Now, if you're anything like me, you may not be able to cook very well, so you might need some instructions. Grab a copy of our new cookbook. Also jump on our socials and our website. You'll find some really cool videos on there of Wendy showing us how to cook up and plate those dishes.
Download a free copy of the recipe book. All of the details on how to do that are in the description below.